Chapter 2. Youth. Hilf al-Fudul. Long before the Fijar War, the Quraysh had made a pact to help the oppressed against the oppressor, and put an end to the cruelty of the strong against the weak. But they had forgotten this pact long ago. After the Fijar War, Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, one of the uncles of Muhammad, peace be upon him, wanted to revive this pact. So he gathered the Hashim, Zora, and Taim clans of Quraysh tribe at the house of Abdullah ibn Judan and suggested that they should renew the old Al-Fadul pact. They all agreed and made a pact to help the weak and the oppressed against the strong and the oppressor. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was about 20 years old at that time, but he joined this pact in spite of being young and was proud to be a part of it. After becoming a prophet, he used to say, "I will not exchange this pact for red camels. If someone calls me for such a pact now, I will be glad to participate." Red camels were very precious for the Arabs those days. This pact was called Al-Fadul because the people who initiated this pact for the first time had the word Fadl as part of their names. Another reason for giving this name to the pact can be the meanings of the word. The word Fadl or Fudul means kindness and graciousness. It was called Al-Fudul because the basis of this pact was kindness for the weak and oppressed. Muhammad, peace be upon him, as a tradesman. Muhammad had helped his uncle in trading when he was young. He adopted trading as a profession when he grew up. He was 25 years old now and was well known in Makkah for his honesty, truthfulness, fairness, helpfulness, and decency. He always kept his promise. People knew him to be honest and fair in dealings. He had become a successful businessman because of hard work and fair dealings. He made very successful trading trips to Syria, Basra, and Yemen. Those who had partnership with him always remembered him for his fairness. Sa'ib radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was one of his partners in pre-Islamic days, used to say that Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the fairest person in his dealings. Marriage with Khadija. Khadija was the richest lady of Makkah. Her business was spread all over the Arabian Peninsula. She used to hire people to do trading for her on profit-sharing basis. Her men went to different countries on business trips. When she heard of Muhammad's fame as a successful and honest merchant, she sent for him and asked him to take her goods to Syria. She promised to pay him twice as much as she used to pay others. Muhammad, peace be upon him, agreed to her wish and took her goods to Syria. She sent her slave Maisra with him to help him. Muhammad, peace be upon him, worked hard, sold all the goods in a short time, and earned good profit. Khadija had never earned so much profit on her goods before. When he gave her the accounts of business, she was impressed by his honesty. She asked her slave Maisra about the dealings and behavior of Muhammad, peace be upon him. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a very kind, generous, and large-hearted man. He had treated Maisra with such kindness and respect which he had never experienced before in his life. Maisra had watched him closely and had found him so different from all other people. He found him to be much greater than the other people. Muhammad, peace be upon him, had left a deep impression on him. Maisra told Khadija all what he knew about Muhammad, peace be upon him. Khadija was already impressed by Muhammad, peace be upon him, and when she heard the report of Maisra, she decided to marry him. Khadija was a very honorable lady. She was rich, beautiful, and very intelligent. She had very good morals and manners. She was famous as Khadija, the chaste lady of Quraysh. She had married twice before and had 2 sons and 1 daughter from her former husbands, who had both died long before. She was a widow since many years. Many nobles of Quraysh wanted to marry her and had sent their proposals for marriage, but she had refused all of them. Khadija proposed her marriage to Muhammad, peace be upon him, through her friend Nufesa, which he accepted after consulting his uncle Abu Talib. Muhammad, peace be upon him, went to Khadija's house with his uncles and other nobles of Quraysh at the appointed time. The marriage ceremony was performed by Muhammad's, peace be upon him, uncle Abu Talib. Khadija was 40 years old at the time of marriage, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, was 25 years old. But in spite of this big age difference, their marriage was the most successful one. Khadija lived for about 25 years after their marriage, but they never had a quarrel. They had 6 children. 2 of them were boys, named Al-Qasim and Abdullah. Abdullah was nicknamed as At-Tahir and At-Tayyib. Both of them died in infancy. The 4 girls named Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum and Fatima lived longer. They all accepted Islam. All of Muhammad's, peace be upon him, children except Ibrahim were born of Khadija. Ibrahim was born of Maria, Qibtiyah. Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not marry any other woman during the life of Khadija Radhiyallahu anha. He remembered her all his life. His most beloved wife, Aisha Radhiyallahu anha, says that she never felt jealous of any of Muhammad's, peace be upon him, wives except Khadija Radhiyallahu anha, who had died long before their marriage. This shows how dearly he loved Khadija Radhiyallahu anha. The truthful and the trustworthy. Muhammad, peace be upon him, had become famous for his uprightness, truthfulness, charitableness, kindness, honesty, and trustworthiness long before he became a prophet. He was very strict in keeping his promise. Abdullah bin Abi al-Hamsa, one of the companions, says, "Once I had a deal with Muhammad, peace be upon him, during the pre-Islamic period. I had to go before the matter was concluded. I asked him to wait till I come back. When I went home, I forgot all about my promise, that I had to go back to Muhammad, peace be upon him. After 3 days, I happened to pass by that place and found Muhammad, peace be upon him, standing there waiting for me. I was very ashamed and feared that he will be very angry. But he did not say anything, except that he had been waiting there for 3 days and that I had caused him unnecessary trouble." This event shows how strict he was in keeping his promise and how generous he was in forgiving others. He had become so well known for his good qualities that the people of Makkah gave him the titles of As-Sadiq, the truthful, and Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Instead of calling him by his personal name, Muhammad, peace be upon him, they usually called him by his titles of As-Sadiq and Al-Amin. They trusted him in all their affairs, and they kept their valuables with him. When he became a prophet and invited people to Islam, most of the people became his enemies. But it did not shake their belief in his truthfulness and trustworthiness. Even his greatest enemies, like Abu Jahl and Abu Sufyan, could not say that he was a liar. There are many events which show that they also believed in his truthfulness, but they did not want to declare their belief in him because they did not want to give up their own leadership. People trusted him with their valuables even when they were his enemies. When the Meccan leaders planned to kill him and forced him to leave Mecca, he left Ali behind him to return the belongings of Meccans, kept with the Prophet, peace be upon him, as trusts. So Ali stayed behind, returned the trusts of Meccans, and then followed him to Medina. This shows how careful he was about his trusts, and it shows that he really deserved the titles of As-Sadiq and Al-Amin. Construction of Kaaba. The building of Kaaba was very low. Its walls were only the height of a man, and there was no roof on them. It was situated at the lowest point in Mecca. During the rainy season, the rainwater gathered inside the building of Kaaba and damaged the walls. Consequently, they had to repair the walls every year. At last, they decided to demolish the old construction and build a new and strong building in its place. So they demolished the old construction and started the new building. The work was divided between different clans of Quraysh, and every clan started building its portion with love and devotion. The work went on smoothly till the walls reached the height where they had to place the sacred black stone in the corner. Everyone wanted to have the honor of putting the black stone in its place. None was prepared to give up this honor in favor of others. Every tribe claimed that it was their right. The quarrel continued for 4 days, and there was a danger of a new war breaking out. The descendants of Abdul Dar dipped their fingers in a bowl of blood to confirm their oath that they would not let anyone rob them of the honor of placing the sacred stone in the wall of Kaaba. They vowed that they would fight till death to achieve this honor. On the fifth day, Abu Umayyah, son of Mughira, who was the oldest person of Quraysh, suggested that the first person who enters the sacred mosque from the gate of Safa the next morning should be made the judge to decide that dispute. They appreciated his proposal and agreed to it. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the first person to enter the sacred mosque from the gate of Safa the next morning. They were all happy to see Muhammad, peace be upon him, and shouted with joy, "Here comes Al-Amin, the trustworthy. We will abide by his decision." They were happy because they knew that his decision will be the most fair. Muhammad, peace be upon him, told them to bring a cloak. He spread the cloak on the ground and put the black stone in its center. Then he asked the chief of each tribe to get hold of the cloak and carry the stone to the place where it was to be placed. When they brought the cloak near the wall, Muhammad, peace be upon him, lifted the stone and fixed it in its place. Everyone had shared the honor of placing the sacred black stone, and everyone was happy. Muhammad's wisdom had averted the impending danger of a war. This event took place 5 years before the prophethood, when Muhammad, peace be upon him, was 35 years old.